The solar flash has ended. The ascension event has begun, and now Earth is splitting into multiple timelines. So it's official. The ascension is now happening. Question is, how is it going to manifest? Based on my latest information that I'm getting directly from extraterrestrials that I'm communicating with, they have told me that the Earth is in fact in the process of splitting into what we would call multiple timelines. And what is most important is to know what you need to do in order to stay on what they are calling the main Earth, as opposed to getting shifted into one of the karmic timelines. So we're going to get into all of that right now. All right, so solar flash has ended, multiple Earth timelines appearing. So the extraterrestrials, if I had listened to them, what's happened is I've been talking to them, as you know, since I did CE5 3 years ago. I have been communicating with them on a daily basis. And if I had listened to them more carefully, I wouldn't have gone down some rabbit holes that I now regret. One of them was I believed that there was going to be an instantaneous solar flash event. And I did that based on some visions that I had been given, and then doing some research. I kind of Frankensteined a belief based on research information and what I was actually shown. And it turns out that if I had just stuck with the information that I was given, I wouldn't have gone down that hole. So the solar flash event did happen. It is winding down. We could say basically that it's over, but it is beginning to wind down. I'm happy to be wrong about that. If there is a final flash that changes everything, I'm going to be the happiest person. I don't need to believe anything one way or another. I believed there was going to be an instantaneous flash. That did not happen. But what the ETs told me when I asked them 3 years ago, when I saw that there was going to be an ascension event, I said, what is this event going to be? Is it going to be fleets of spaceships? Because that's the only thing I could imagine. Fleets of extraterrestrial spaceships coming to Earth and giving everybody an awakening. And they said, no. The solar flash is a series of solar waves of love that will hit the Earth and penetrate into the Earth and shift everything up to a higher frequency. So that is almost a verbatim what they told me. So I believe that that happened. I know that in June of 2022, in December of 2022, ETs came to me and said, tomorrow is the big day. And I was taken to, astrally, I was taken to some planet, and there was a bunch of other people in their astral bodies, and there was a being there saying, tomorrow is the day. Tomorrow is when it starts. We're telling you so that you can go and tell others. So sure enough, that morning when I woke up, boom, I got hit with huge amounts of energy. I thought that a light being had beamed down into my bedroom, but there was nothing there. But the sun, there was a huge amount of energy coming from the sun. And sure enough, as it turns out, that was one of the days that there was a huge solar storm that was hitting the Earth at that time. And those solar storms continued for a while, and the ETs said during the days of the solar storms, I would get hit with all this energy. I would, in my conscious mind, I would be shifting into higher frequencies. It was a very interesting time. And they were saying, this is it. It's happening. Nothing's ever going to be the same. Watch what's going to happen to the Earth. And then things started calming down. And then all of that the solar storms started to calm down until they went, basically non-existent. And so that led me to believe that the solar flash had indeed occurred. So there was a delay, but we are seeing the shift. Now, we're going to get into the specifics about what you need to keep your eyes peeled for. So let's go ahead and get started. All right, so ETs show me Earth as a prism, multiple Earth frequencies. I said prism, not prison. So this is the most recent vision that I was given. A light being came to me and said, "Do you have any questions?" And I know when they do that, it means that there's something that's bothering me that I want to know the answer to. So I said, okay, I want to know what is going on with this 5D ascension shift that you've been saying that everything is changing. You've been saying that you're going to be taking me home soon. I don't understand. Is the shift going to be philosophical, poetic, symbolic, or literal? And of course, I didn't get the 3D answer that I wanted, but they said, we're going to show you. So they said, it's not going to be what you're expecting. I said, okay. So I saw a vision of the Earth right now, and she was there, and she was doing what she's doing. As you know, we've got unprecedented volcanic activity and all kinds of strange things happening, earthquakes, not to mention all the craziness that's going on in the world. We'll get into that. But all of the shifts, I've seen it in my life with people that I know over the past 3 years, especially, watching people just completely flip out, and other people waking up in huge ways. So we're seeing the split in people's consciousness for sure. So all of that, they were showing me that was what was happening on Earth. And then I saw the Earth begin to split into these different Earths. And it was sort of like there was one Earth, and then there would be another one and another one. And it was, there was like a center Earth that was more substantial, and the other ones were more like refractions. They weren't quite as real, and they were like almost like different colors. And so it was similar to when you put a light through a prism and all the different colors come out. But it was this one Earth, and there were sort of these karmic frequency echoes, in like multiple layers, like an onion, of all the different layers were like, and they started expanding out like that. And what I was told was that each one of these layers is going to have a specific soul frequency that each soul is going to need to experience. So as you know, if you've been watching the channel, Earth is an experiment in consciousness. And so for the people who are going to shift up, they are going to stay on the real Earth, which is ascending. So people will stay here, and the Earth will shift them up to a higher frequency. For those that still have unresolved karmic wounds, which really is an experiment. It means that the soul is still experimenting with greed, lust, anger, whatever it is that they're working on, wanting to be famous, wanting to be loved, wanting to be powerful, all of that. Those are experiments that the soul is going through to learn a deep lesson. And so let me just make it clear. Everybody can drop their karmic lessons right now. The door is open for everybody to drop the experiment. It's over. But some people are having a hard time. They're attached to it, and I won't get into all that. But for whatever reason, if somebody is not able to go towards the higher ascension, then they are going to be pulled into a specific frequency that deals with whatever theme that they are experimenting with. Okay, so multiple Earth frequencies. So there will be a main real Earth, and there will be temporary timelines. Now, so we use the word timeline, and that's not accurate. However, it is an accurate understanding for the third dimensional mind. So the idea that there are infinite numbers of actual timelines going on and that you are living in multiple timelines and that there's an infinite number of you, that's not exactly true. If you want to understand the difference between timelines and dimensions and densities and alternate universes and probable universes, then I encourage you to go get the Galactic Contact video course, which you can find at contact.thunderwizard.com. In fact, somebody just left a comment on one of the most recent videos saying that they highly recommend getting it, that they're loving it. So I'm not going to go into depth about why these aren't timelines, but that's a good enough idea for the moment. So if you want to be in the true higher frequency Earth, or do you want to be in one of these lower frequency timelines? It depends on whether or not you're ready to walk away from the experiment. The experiment's over. You ready to walk away? Let's talk about how you can make that happen. So each alternate Earth will have a specific karmic frequency. We talked about that. When every soul experiment has played itself out, all Earths will recombine. So this was the part I wasn't expecting. I had been shown that there's going to be multiple frequencies of Earth. I was even shown at one point that there's going to be different octaves of Earth. And I was also shown the idea that it's like light hitting a prism and all the different colors. It's still one ray of white light, but it then fractalizes into all of these different frequencies of that same light. And this, again, was years ago, and the feminine being said, this is what's going to happen to Earth. Earth is going to be a prism. So now we're coming full circle. In this latest vision, this is what they were showing me. So when that's all done, so wherever somebody's at, and if they're not ready to drop the experiment, they need to still be abused, or they still need to try and get famous, or they still need to try and get love, or be beautiful, or figure out some way to be famous or be loved or be rich, or whatever it is that they are trying to make happen in order to feel like they're valued. They are going to go and play that out. And then what's going to happen is all of these frequencies are going to recombine back into the main Earth. And so eventually everybody's going to get there. It's just a question of, do you need to take a detour or not? So let me talk a little bit about that. So I was told that I would stay on this main Earth, and a lot of other people would stay on this main Earth. While other people's go into these, what we would call alternate timelines, of course, the population on Earth is going to dwindle. It's going to go way down, and the Earth is going to shift. So we're going to be there to create that perfect 5D reality, the reality of love and empathy and equality and cooperation and full connection to the spirit and all of that. We're going to get to build that from scratch. And so the people basically who are worthy of that, meaning that they don't have any unconscious attachments that they're going to play out, they would stay on this main Earth. So I would be there, and I would have my role. And a lot of other people, if you're listening to me and you know that you're being shown a way to live that, there's no job offers for, it's hard to function. The world doesn't seem to want that, but inside you have this desire to give to people. There's a good chance that's because that is something you're going to create on this new real Earth that is going to shift up. All right, so those who align with higher frequencies will stay on the real Earth. Those who fight the unconditional love of the flash will split off. So I want to be clear about this. I've shared about this before. I'll try to keep it brief, but I dated a woman who, as it turns out, had a very severe mental illness, borderline personality disorder. And it was incredibly painful. The bottom line of that mental disorder, the thing that makes it unique among other narcissistic personality disorders, is that these are people who desperately want intimacy and love, but once they achieve it, once they feel true intimacy and true love, they completely, totally flip out. They not only flip out, but they turn around and savagely attack the person that is loving them. And it can literally happen in a blink of an eye. One minute they can be talking about how you're the best, I love you more than anything, we're going to be together, and then literally in 1 second they can go from that to you're trying to kill me, you're the worst person, and they will go after you, and emotionally, physically, sometimes they'll even try to destroy your lives. And so what the problem is that they have been so starved of love since they were an infant that when real love hits them, all of their defense mechanisms kick in because they lose control. They feel like they are completely, totally helpless and completely vulnerable, and what it feels like is that the other person's love is going to consume them and they will disappear. It's a horrible feeling. Now, everybody goes through that to some degree because we have a phrase called falling in love. Because if we were in 5D, people don't say, I'm falling in love with you. They would say, I'm growing in love with you, or I love you, I see you, it would be something they were comfortable with and confident about, and there would be no fear and there would be no desire to force the other person to give them back love. The third dimension, when we fall in love, we feel vulnerable and we feel frightened, and we're in a position where if that person rejects us, we will feel damaged and we don't have any control over it. So we fall in love. I'm scared, I'm falling in love. So that's a third dimensional thing. So all humans have this borderline response to love. And the third dimension, it's manageable because even if you're well adjusted and somebody in the third dimension really loves you, there's still some give and take, and there's still a contract. You love in order to be loved, and if it's a good relationship, if it's a good trade-off, it turns into a great third dimensional relationship. But when somebody isn't pulling their weight and they're not giving you what you want, we end up leaving them. That's what healthy people do. That's the third dimension. In higher dimensions, beings that love you truly unconditionally, without any judgment, and they love you because you are a soul that is a holographic projection of the source, of God. And when you experience love, again, when we're talking about this, you need to understand what true dimensions are. Again, people they conflate and confuse dimensions, densities, alternate universes, all of that stuff. So, and most people don't even know what dimensions are. And again, we talk about this in depth in the Galactic Contact video course. I go into depth about what dimensions are. So go and watch that if you're still not clear. But that aside, the love that comes from higher dimensions, which all extraterrestrials are from a higher dimension, the love that comes from higher dimensions is incredibly beautiful and blissful, but also very frightening. And so what's going to happen is whatever unresolved karma you have is going to be stimulated. So on the one hand, if you're working with light beings and you have a lot of pain, a lot of damage, a lot of karma, you are going to experience a lot of healing. But at the same time, all of your wounds are going to be stimulated, and all of your fears about love and rejection are going to be stimulated. And so to stay with them means you have to be willing to continue to allow them to love you in the most vulnerable, deep, intimate way you can imagine. And you have to then be able to tolerate all of the detox of all of the garbage feelings that are going to come up. And what I'm seeing now that we've been doing this for a while, some people have gone and then they've stopped and then they've run the other direction. And some people have been resisting and now they're finally opening up and they're running in the right direction. So that's what I'm talking about when I say that those who fight the unconditional love of the flash will split off. So it means if you're fighting the love, you are, it's just a scientific fact. You're going to split off onto one of these other frequencies. And you are going to play out whatever's left. It's not going to be a real Earth. It's going to be like a side program that's going to be running. And it's temporary. They're all temporary. And I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I imagine there's going to be like major Mandela effect craziness going on over there. But I don't have any intention of going to those Earths. I'm going to stay on this one as she shifts up. Okay, so here are ways to step into the new real Earth. Continue with energy work, meditation, CE5, and interdimensional meditation, obviously. All right, so I beat this horse to death. I'm going to keep doing it. All of the practices that I teach are the highest level practices you can find anywhere. I dare you to go find practices that are more powerful. You might find some as powerful, but you won't find any that are more powerful than these. And these can be found at thunderwizard.com. The one I make available to people is the most accessible, I believe, is the Warrior 90-Day Lightning Qigong, and that is a combination of Kundalini Yoga and Mantra Qigong, and then the Shin, the heart mind of the Mao Shan. Those three energies are the most powerful. I'm going to make another video about that, and I've understood where that fits into everything in terms of the creation of Earth and all that. I'll talk about that in a future video. So go to thunderwizard.com and either subscribe to one of those and or go to the shop and get any one of the, some of them are incredibly affordable. $10, I think, for some of them. Do one of those practices to open up your meridians. Keep doing the live guided meditations that we do on here. And I also strongly recommend people get a channeled reading from me. You can get that at channel.thunderwizard.com. And the reason for that is because, now look, there isn't any rules. This isn't a cult. It's not like you're going to be rejected if you don't do this. But my experience is that I have been able to channel actual 5D energy from the light beings directly to the people that I'm working with. And once they have readings from me, when they go home, everything starts shifting and it gets even more empowering. So I'm not saying that you have to do all of these or even any of them, but I do recommend energy work, the Qigong, the Mao Shan stuff, the meditations, the live meditations, the private meditations, the CE5, which is just trying to connect with ETs, and the interdimensional meditations. Keep doing that. That is something that will help you, and you're going to experience that. Some more than others, not all the time, but when you do a deep interdimensional meditation, there are going to be days where you're going to be like, I don't want to get out of bed, or you're going to go, I need to take a break from the interdimensional meditations, and maybe you do, but I'm the kind of person where I want to keep powering through against my resistance. And so I recommend that you do that. Now, if you're having a lot of real difficulty, then I encourage you to work with me personally. It is the single most powerful thing you can do. And I know that sounds really grandiose of me to say. That's been my experience from what I've seen. People who work with me follow all of my suggestions consistently and continuously. They continue to grow. The people that I've worked with that skimp and only do some of the things I suggest, or do them and then back off, or they get mixed results. But there are people who have run away from me, who were following all of my suggestions to the letter, and they were really expanding, and then they stopped, and then they went in the other direction. So I don't judge anybody for it. I know how difficult it is. I'm trying to give you tools on how to prevent that, because this isn't a joke. This shit, look what's happening with the world right now. This isn't a joke. This is real. And I want to be happy. And I want you to be happy. All right. So allow practical hearth visions. Interesting. I meant to say, what did I say? Heart visions. Interesting. So I wanted to say, allow practical heart visions of 5D service to others. So let me explain that. So what's happening with people, including myself, I'll use myself as an example to start with. What I've been teaching my whole adult life. I've been teaching spiritual practices, the philosophy behind it. I do all that talking and all that stuff, but I've been teaching energy practices and meditation and counseling people, spiritual counseling. That has been pretty much the same for as long as I've been on YouTube. And then just recently, probably, I don't even know how many months, but very recently, within the past few months, well, first we started doing the live guided meditations. That was something new. And that was something where I could practically give to the world. And that's why I don't charge anything for those live stream meditations. That is my job. My job is to channel higher dimensional energy to Earth and to the people of Earth, and that's what those meditations are for. We got one tonight. It's Saturday. We're going to do one tonight. But then I ended up doing something I never thought I would do, which is these ET channelings. I never would have imagined myself ever doing that. That's just, I won't get into all the reasons why, but you can probably guess, but I never would have even considered that. But the light beings came to me and they said, hey, why don't you try this? Because I'd thought about it, and I said, I remember thinking that would be a really cool thing, to be able to have the light beings mentor people. And what started happening was that I would do the readings, and what was happening is the light beings were telling people their higher dimensional self. And it was incredibly powerful, and it was powerful for me as well. And so I was healing, and I was shifting up whenever I did it. And other people were also, afterwards the energy would stay with them, and it would literally create a portal so that light beings would go directly and be with them directly. And so it's a way for me to give in a way that I never have, on a level I never have, in a concept I would have never even considered. And so other people are coming up with ideas, artists, musicians, cooks, gardeners. They're now doing their hobby or their craft or their calling in a way that gives to people. I was talking to somebody recently who came up with this really great idea to give meals to people and make that like a spiritual service. And I started seeing that with, because I'm working with a bunch of people and they're all starting to have these ideas, turning their art into channels. The paintings become portals. Instead of me teaching, I'm now channeling ETs. Instead of me mentoring somebody, the ETs are mentoring through me and bringing all of this higher dimensional energy. And I started to see a picture of people being portals and sending 5D all over the world until the world shifts. And I finally recently just saw it. I said, I can see it. I can see how it's happening. So listen to your heart. If you continue to do this work, your heart, you'll come up with some ideas about maybe how to function, how to live, but you might come up with some ideas about things that you would like to do to spread to others, and you won't have any, you won't be doing it out of greed or any other reason like that. You'll be doing it just to be helpful. In the meantime, I'm not saying don't charge people money because, until money goes away, we all still need to eat. But you won't be doing it for that reason. And then eventually that will drop away. All that money stuff is going to drop away. And these are going to be the people on the real earth who's going to be creating the new earth. There won't be grocery stores, there won't be governments, there won't be banks. Things will happen organically within the community, and people will be giving and providing, and it will be a pleasure to provide and give. And the give and take will just be, I'm giving from myself and you give from yourself, and the spirit knows exactly what everybody needs. And you magically get this idea to go, hey, you know what, I need to go to so-and-so's house and I'm going to bring them whatever, some soup or whatever, and it'll be exactly what that person needs right at that moment. And then they'll have something that you were thinking about. This is how this world is going to be. So listen to your heart and start imagining that. I'm saying this because your third dimensional brain is going to try and stop you. You will still have all kinds of fears and insecurities, and normal problems are still going to be popping up. I'm saying focus on the goal of the heart fantasy that is starting to grow in you. You can pick on two things. You can pick on all the problems and the issues. I could list off a whole bunch of things I could get all bent out of shape about. Or I could focus on the fact that I see that the world is shifting. And that's where I'm going to focus my energy. Where you focus is going to pull you into that frequency. All right, so continue with, allow practical heart visions of 5D service to others. Seek to become a portal of higher dimensional energy. We've already talked about that. Finally, do not get distracted with the 3D chaos now erupting on Earth. Do you think that it's a coincidence that here Saturday, June 14th, that there are multiple protests going all over the United States, and that for the past few days, places like Los Angeles, there have been violence? And do you think that that's a coincidence that that happens right as Israel attacks Iran? Do you think that that's a coincidence? It's not. All of these orchestrated protests are designed to distract you from what's really going on behind the scenes. And that's probably not going to stop anytime soon. The powers that be are working really hard to play both sides against the middle, as they always do, and getting you frightened and upset or angry. These are distractions. You may have real issues, real life issues. I do. Financial, I've got housing issues, financial issues, personal issues. Thankfully, I don't have any health issues. But I do have other issues, and those are very distracting. And then there's just the feeling that you're in a world you don't belong in. I have that experience. You're like bored. Either bored, or you feel trapped, or you're unsatisfied. Your relationships probably are going crazy haywire. People you thought you knew are turning on you, disappearing. You're wanting to pull away from society and people, and you may not understand everything that's going on. Or you may be feeling really uncomfortable and insecure and wanting to go deeper into, go get your medical degree or your law degree or whatever it is, so you can be safe in the world, and all of the fear about all of that stuff. All those things may be going on right now. They're all distractions. The new world is coming. It will be here. And so believe me or don't believe me, I understand. This is why we do the practices. This is why we do the interdimensional meditation, the CE5, the energy work, and the practical things. We have to take action, giving from our vision of this new world and taking risks. So doing your heartfelt desire is going to be risky. Probably the first thing that's going to come to your mind is, nobody wants that. There's no money in that. People will think I'm crazy. Nobody understands any of this. Those are the kinds of things that are going to go through your head. I encourage you to put those things out to the world anyway. It is my personal prediction, I don't need to be right about it, I hope I am, that very soon we're going to see a big shift in consciousness, and people are going to start turning towards wanting to understand this stuff. Higher dimensional teachings. What are ETs really? Higher dimensional beings, higher dimensional earth, and people are going to start looking for this, and they're going to need people like you to help them. So you can benefit and help them by beginning to put that out now. Put it out to the world now, because the world needs it. And when people start to wake up, when the cockroaches scatter and some people run in the other direction and other people are going to start running towards this direction, they're going to need you to help them. So this is your time to go and get prepared, as well as for your own ascension. All right, I think I beat that horse to death. All right, so that's it, my friends, for that. So please remember, we do have the Galactic Contact, which I've already talked about. You can get that at contact.thunderwizard.com. And we have all kinds of other things. I still have the Maushan sale. This is the most powerful practices you can do. Go to maushan.thunderwizard.com. We have the interdimensional mentorship. I talked about that already. If you go to thunderwizard.com, when you go to thunderwizard.com, you're going to see the menu membership. You're going to click on membership, and then you're going to see all of the ways that you can subscribe, the different ways that you can subscribe. If you want to get just a course or an inexpensive Qigong video, go to the shop, which you can also see right there. You can see shop right next to membership. So go take care of those. And also it helps the channel. So the channel has been limping along. If my prediction is right, things are going to turn around in that regard here fairly soon, let's hope. But I appreciate and I actually need your support in order to stay doing this work. I'm going to keep doing it no matter whatever it takes. I'm going to keep doing, at the very least, the free meditations for sure. But if you want to see me continue to go deeper into this, I would love your support, and you will always benefit. So if you've been waiting, I wanted to do that course, or I wanted to do that thing, or I wanted to subscribe, or I wanted to be an apprentice, now's the time. Not only for me, but for you as well. Anyway, that's it. My friends, I love you all. Please be very good to yourselves. I shall see you very soon.